Welcome to our Two Posh podcast. My goodness, everyone, we have not been recording this whole entire pandemic time. We kind of took a break because we didn't want to come on and do it over Zoom. We feel like our show has the interaction with people is just what makes it special. And our spider, our DJ there. And so we just took a break, and it's our first day back. And I want to welcome my daughter Marcella.
Hello.
And my son Gino.
I'm back.
And our DJ Spider.
I never left.
So happy to see you guys and to record again. And I wanted to say in the beginning of this show especially, we never really say this that often, but we wanted to ask everyone to please subscribe to our channel or subscribe to our podcast channel on any podcast platform you listen to. Leave us a review, and please check out our YouTube channel. We updated it. That is something we did do in that pandemic, and it looks really good. And
it does look really good.
It does.
I happened to be on it earlier today.
It looks
I was
better.
like, oh, cool. Yeah, you got every little segment in there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you so much. And would appreciate it if you could subscribe, leave us a review, leave a message, like it. And why wouldn't you? So you are always aware of new shows coming. We have a lot of exciting stuff planned. And this first show back is actually our episode 199. And we decided to do a breakup episode because we heard of a lot of people during this whole pandemic and having to stay at home. A lot of people broke up because they couldn't stand being together all the time. And breakups are complicated and they're hard to do. And it's hard to handle the aftermath and emotional complications when we're left in such a vulnerable state. And Marcella has had her share of breakups.
Yeah, I'm the queen of it. That's true.
And Bernie is not here with us today, sadly, but he has had his share of breakups as well. And I would have really liked to get his input. And then there's Gino. Gino has had one breakup.
True.
And because I guess when you do a podcast like this and tell so much about your personal life, we've had a lot of people ask what happened, why all these questions came about. And so we had wanted to do this show right before the pandemic started, and it was exactly a year after the breakup. So we're going to do it now. It's a couple months late, but...
My breakup?
Yes.
People had questions about my breakup?
Yeah, a lot of people were asking what happened to Whitley, because Whitley was a big part also of the show. Who doesn't know, Gino is my son, Marcella's brother, and he was in an almost 5-year relationship.
No, 4.
4 years.
4. Don't add another, please.
I also wanted to preface this with this is a year and 2 months later, and everyone has moved on. There is not like this craziness going on anymore, but people did have questions, and we thought it was just a good time to talk about it and share what happened and how each of us felt, because she was such a big part of our life. I wanted to give Gino the opportunity. Do you want to go first, second, or last? What would you prefer?
Whatever's better for you.
No, I'm asking
I'll
you.
go last.
Oh, God.
So, Marcella, what do you want to do? You want to be first or second?
No, you can go first.
Okay, well, then it's up to me to share my side of what happened. So my experience with Whitley became like another daughter to me, actually. Like she was very, very close with our family. She was always around. I know that Jolie looked at her as another sister as well. And it became very clear that they were a special couple. And it was like a special time in their life, but we also knew it was a very young kind of love. Patrick was always the one that said young love like that usually doesn't survive, but I had a different outlook at that whole thing. But Whitley started working for us. She wasn't just a part of our life like as Gino's girlfriend. She became a model for the boutique. She created Marcella's designs for our swimwear line. Then she created the costumes for our dance studio, and started working for the boutique as well. So there was a lot of involvement. And then when we started this podcast, she became our co-host from the very beginning. And so I also tried to help her with becoming, like, Dallas is missing a seamstress for dance studios.
Mm-hmm.
Before the pandemic, when the dance studios were really active, people wanted their own designed dance costumes made and created, and there are a few people that are doing this, and not many know how. And Whitley was actually quite special in that way, that she was so young and wanted to sew and loved to sew and had that real talent. And I always wanted to help her, like, create her own business with it, but I also felt she wasn't supported by her family with all that. And she felt a little bit misunderstood, I think. And she wanted always to go to fashion school, and they didn't let her. And so, like, Whitley came to Mexico with us. She was just a big part of our family. And her and I would spend sometimes nights together where she would sit with me. We would share glasses of wine. We would talk about life. And she always wanted to get advice from me how to make sure that their relationship survives. And one of the most important things that always stood out to me was, I would always tell her, when you have a special relationship, you have to watch out, because around every corner is the devil and stretching out the hand, and you have to make sure you're aware and don't grab that. There was one thing that was always very, very odd, and that was her family's reaction to our family. Like, we're an extremely close family, and in 4 years, what Gino is saying, I met her mom twice, and we never met the dad. We never met the brothers. And I invited the whole entire family for every single holiday. They never took us up on it. They had a hurricane where the house got destroyed. I invited the entire family to come up and stay with us and all these things, and never took us up on that either. We
Sent them a care package, multiple.
we did that
boxes
too.
and
Like,
boxes.
it was just always interesting that you wouldn't, as a parent, as a dad, and as a mom, want to have a closer relationship with the family of the boyfriend, and that your daughter is, like, basically living with, and always, and has such a big part of. That was always strange. I couldn't understand it. And there's a lot of time, a lot of things that you can, like, make up in your own mind what happened, or why would they do that? I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that whole thing. It was just odd. And I remember, for me, seeing a huge change in Whitley the summer of 2019. We had a pop-up boutique at the Statler Hotel, and we had an opportunity to actually have a boutique in there, as a regular retail boutique. And I was going to do that, but I needed to have confirmation from both Marcella and Whitley that they would be working the boutique if we did it. And Whitley was very reluctant for weeks. And then one day I made her, like I just said, can you commit to me, because I'm about to sign this lease? And she said she couldn't. And I thought it was odd, because everything we ever did, she was doing with us. And I remember that one of her brothers, started going to Disney World, and he worked in Disney World, and the family took a couple of trips to Disney World. And then suddenly Whitley came back and announced basically that she was going to apply for a job to be a costume designer for Disney World. And I remember looking at her going, you mean you're moving to Florida? Like, why? Well, that was her dream and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, like, if you can become a costume designer for Disney, or if for any big label in France or in LA or whatever it is, Milan, like anywhere, I feel like I would have understood it and we would have totally supported it. But the fact was that it wasn't a Disney costume designer, it was working in one of the Disney sweatshops and like sewing zippers and whatnot. I couldn't understand why anyone would want to do that. And she went, tried out, she didn't get that job. And so I thought, okay, well, then that means she's staying. However, she then told us that she was still going forward with the move and that she was going to be a golf cart girl. I have to say my mind was blown because I don't understand how you move to another state to become a golf cart girl at 24 years old. So I felt basically like I had a bunch of puzzle pieces that didn't make any sense. I knew stuff wasn't right. Stuff didn't add up. I saw Whitley one time where she came to tell me that she was leaving, and I had no idea that day was the last day I ever would speak to her, that I would ever hear from her again. She basically left and never has spoken to me again. That was really, really hard for me. I'm not going to lie. It was like I spent a lot of time. I put a lot of my love, energy, and emotion into this girl. And even though if their relationship hadn't worked out, whatever, I don't like to get in between people's relationships. That's not my place. And even though Gino is my son, if there was a reason why it wouldn't work out, I would think that a reasonable person would still stay in contact with people. I just never understood that. Not gonna lie, the first 3 weeks I was really upset. I mean, I was crying. I was like, what has happened? My heart broke for Gino, number one. My heart broke for Jolie, our family basically, and our unit, how we were used to it, because no one likes change. I really don't like it. And I couldn't just never, I've been always known, if I can't wrap my head around something is wrong, and it's usually untrue. And fast forward a little bit, I know a lot of people, and a lot of people like to come and tell me things, or a lot of things reveal themselves to us. And to make a long story short, Whitley got in another relationship very, very, very fast. And it turns out that the new boyfriend is a golf pro / caddy at the same resort that Whitley is a golf cart girl at. And then I had a phone call and I found out that they were together and all this kind of stuff. And then I was like, well, now it all makes sense. The puzzle pieces all made sense, because as a young girl, you don't move to a different state to be a golf cart girl. You move to a different state to be with another person. That makes sense. And it made sense when they went to Disney World. Was probably then when she met this person. And to finish this, I loved Whitley back then. I have no ill feelings towards her. I want her to be happy and live a good life. But I am extremely disappointed that she wasn't honest. And that is my take. And
I'll go second.
I was going to say, mine is really short. Like, I don't really have any feelings about it.
I'll go second then.
okay, you go
Follow
ahead.
that.
So that was my whole view.
Okay, so I think either you were told different things by her, or our timelines are a little bit different. But when she went on that family trip to visit the brother before that summer, the Statler, and that's when things between us started. At the time, I couldn't tell, but then looking back, that's when things started to change. And so I do think on that family trip, she met that guy, because then she went to Florida just to visit her brother.
Yeah.
Like 2 more times before she ended up moving there, I think. And like the whole thing with, she did live with me. She wasn't likely with me. Her family never liked me from the beginning. So, and her dad did not support her with finances, school, anything. So when she was out of school, she didn't have anywhere to live. So she, of course, lived with me. And so it wasn't she kind of lived, she completely moved in. I supported her for everything. She did not have to work. All she had to do, she started babysitting a little bit. I tried getting her a job with one of my best friends at a really nice really high paying waitress job that for some reason she never took. She just kind of hostessed a little bit and babysat. And that summer, like you said, with the Statler, I've honestly thought this was 2 years ago. You keep saying a year. It feels like 2 years.
It's a year.
A year.
It was year and end of February.
And the middle of March. You broke up the day we got back from our spring.
Oh, wow.
Spring break.
Okay. I thought it was longer. So then she went to Florida 2 more times. And then, like you said, she told you about the golf cart job before she left. I didn't know about the golf cart job until she was there. She had told me up until she left that she had that seamstress job lined up and she was going to work for the seamstress people. And the specific job she wanted, she like didn't make the cut yet for, but she was still going to be able to move down there. And she showed me like an apartment that her and her brother had picked out that they were going to live together. All this stuff where she was going to live with her brother. I didn't know about golf cart anything.
And then she ended up living with 8 people, right?
She moved into a house with guys. It was 4 guys and 3 other girls, so 8 people. I was told it was an apartment. When she got there, I found that stuff out like a week later, 2 weeks later, about the whole house thing. She did not tell me right away. I thought she was moving into an apartment. So that started right away. I said, I don't like that you're living in a house of guys. And her response was, well, one's gay and one's married. And I said, okay, but how would you like it if I moved to California with Marcella and 3 of her girlfriends lived there, or 3 of her friends? And she said, that'd be totally fine. And I thought, that made me mad. And looking back before, I'll pause that part of the story, but things started to change in those months during the summer and then the winter, and then when she ended up leaving, to where I would come home from work and she wouldn't put any effort into our relationship at all. Wouldn't get ready for anything. Wouldn't even clean her own stuff in my apartment. Her stuff was everywhere, to the point where Jolie, I think, saw my apartment and went and told you how shocked she was, how trashed my apartment was. And you guys know me growing up being that germaphobe. And then being raised by mom, I'm a clean person. I think all of your children are very clean and neat. And so my apartment was totally trashed, and it wasn't even because of my stuff. I couldn't even see my floor because her clothes and bags and everything was just scattered.
And you said it was on the counters and everything?
On the counters. And like, I started to get annoyed because I was like, why do I work all day and like you can't even make me like dinner or anything? And so then we got into our first real big fight. And then all of a sudden the move to Florida sped up after one fight, where I really just asked if you could just please clean your own stuff in my place. And then proceeding to where she was getting ready to leave, she'd start bringing me lunch to work, like some sandwiches or something. And so I thought it was because of the fight and she was upset and trying to make things better. And then the day before she left, I still thought she was going to be a seamstress in Florida. Like, I knew she didn't make the cut for that one lady, but I thought she was still going for that. And she was going to live with her brother and then try again. And I thought it was for a few months. That's what I was told. It's going to be a few months gig. So I was totally supportive of it. That's fine. That's great. That's your dream. I'm not going to get in your way of doing that. And then I found out when she moved there, she moved into a house with the guys. She never had that seamstress job lined up. She took a golf cart job. And then I found out she was going to be there at least a year until reapplying for the seamstress job. And then that's when I was like, what do you mean a year? You're going to stay there for a year before you try and get the seamstress job? And she's like, yeah. And I said, well, I think you should come back. And that's when she said, well, I've started making such nice friends here. I was like, well, can't you have friends here? Like that didn't make sense to me. And she started then to try and tell me about her friends. And I was like, I'm really not interested in your Florida friends. I'm not interested in knowing the people there. I don't get why you're there. And then for about 4 years of us talking every day, at least 100 texts, just constantly talking, chatting, because I said I didn't want to get to know her Florida friends or hear about them. all of a sudden we stopped talking, where no FaceTime, no phone calls, no texts. And that was the first time that ever happened. And it would be a whole day, nothing, 2 whole days, nothing. And I think you guys went on that trip to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And then, then we had a phone call that morning after I picked you up from the airport. And she said she was not coming back. And she was willing to pick Florida over our relationship. And I asked her. And so, of course, I was very sad because I did, from a young age, say I always wanted to be a one-girl guy my whole life. That was something very important to me. And so after 4 years, and then plus the dating time before of being together, I was definitely heartbroken because I had tried my absolute best for one person. Even with things I didn't agree with, I always said I let go because I was in love. And so I just don't get how someone could have done that to another person, because it's very obvious she met that guy and then set up her plan to leave while still taking advantage of me and living situations and not having to pay for anything in life. And I mean, I'm fine now. I'm over it. But at the time, I was probably like 2 months where I was upset, for sure. And then another 2-3 months of trying to just forget about all of it. And that's why I think I keep saying I think it's like 2 years.
It is 2 years, because this summer will be 2 years that we were at the Statler. We weren't at the Statler last summer.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's 2 years.
Yeah, it is.
It's 2 years.
Yeah.
That's impossible. We just had our 2-year anniversary for our podcast.
I know. It's still 2 years that we were, because I have 2 years ago with Cedar Creek Lake. 2 years ago, we were at the Statler.
Yeah, I really felt like it's been longer, because I said I didn't want to even start thinking about dating until a year went by. And that year went by. And
We were
then
at the Statler 2018 summer. And then August 2018 was when we left the Statler. So then one whole summer. And then you and Whitley broke up then March 2019. So your
So that is
breakup
the-
has been a year.
oh,
Okay, well, that's
okay.
true. Right, yeah. The summer of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then
And then they broke up in March,
March
2019.
2019.
Yeah,
So you guys have
Oh.
been broken up
a year and 2 months.
for a year and 2 months.
okay.
Right? Because she left
Yes.
right after the Statler. Yeah.
She moved to Florida permanently in February.
Mm-hmm.
2019.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you sure March then?
I know
I
the
put up
date.
for that for a month.
I know the date.
Okay. Yeah. And so I just think I kept telling you and then everyone in the family that I was going to wait at least a year. And then at some point, I don't remember when we made the dating apps, but
but
that's been
Bernie
fun.
set us up.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And so then I've got a third date tonight with,
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
so,
Yeah, Spider.
yeah.
A
So I
third
don't know.
date.
I don't know about, I don't know. I don't get how someone could do that to another person, because the day she left, she hung up like 15 paintings in my apartment that she had made.
Yeah.
And there's like lots of stuff. And I know, just talking with Marcella, she has said, and then I think Mom agreed with it too, that she was trying to leave like a hook in. So if things didn't work out, she had something to come back to. I think she definitely misinterpreted me as a person, thinking that I would wait, if that was what she meant to do with it. But I mean, I was definitely upset at first, then I was definitely angry about it, and now I couldn't care less. Now I've learned a lot from that. A lot of things where I've talked to you, Mom, about how I wouldn't let things that were kind of warning signs to me go again, just because I think I'm in love. So yeah, it was I guess a good learning experience.
Well, that I think that it is important to get all that out, so that's why we did it. And now we're gonna go Marcella.
I think it was sad. I guess personally, it's sad for me to watch Whitley now. Because when you guys were together, I always said that I felt that you were perfect for each other at the time because you were both young at heart. You were both silly and goofy, and it made sense. And then I don't think you can fake being someone for so long, but I do know that there was always a part of her that wanted to be in the party scene and maybe do that. So I think that now she's trying that out and you're not that way. So that wasn't about you.
She was a party girl before me, though.
Right. But then she got with you and there was none of that.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe what she's doing now, I don't know if it's the right decisions, but I don't have any ill feelings either. I think that, obviously lying is never great and cheating's never great or whatever. I obviously didn't like her saying to me all the time that I didn't like her because I just didn't have we never really got very close until actually the last 2 years maybe of your relationship. I got closer, but I don't know if that was for my own self or whatever, but I don't have very many feelings about it at all. So I don't know what to say.
Turned it off.
I don't. I mean, obviously I was sad for Gino because forever we said that they were going to get married. And I was like, I've always said it. The first girl Gino meets, he's going to marry. And I do remember like really sweet times, but people change. And I don't know if what she's doing now is the best. I think the party lifestyle gets old. I've done it. I think the drinking every day gets old. I've done it. And I think it's sad because she is very talented. And I don't see her now doing anything that she wanted to do when you guys were together. So I think she's wasting time, but I don't wish her anything bad. But I just don't. I didn't have the relationship that I think you and Jolie had with her. So I didn't feel anything. I felt that there were weird things happening, like when we would do the podcast, weird emotions. And then when she told me she was moving, I didn't know what to even say. I was just like, I don't know, you need to tell Gino. But I don't know. I guess I'm very cold in that way. I was just like, whatever. So that's my take on it. I don't know.
On that note, Gino, is there anything else you want to say?
No, being single and dating is really fun, though.
Well, that's good.
That's some hot dates recently.
Yeah. So that's exciting. And like I said in the very beginning, before we even started the show, everyone has moved on. But I had felt that it was such a big thing in our life. Like part of why we do this podcast also is we share a lot of our life and it's kind of recorded. And I think that's cool. And so since people were wondering, there you go. There you go.
No, I think all the anger and emotion that I had at first, it's after about, what'd you say, 2-3 months initially?
I think it took you a little bit longer, but yeah.
Where I was really upset?
Oh, no, but like the whole process.
The whole process longer, but where I was upset and I probably would have said different things if we did this right away. I think that was over within about 2 months. And
I think it's stuff like this that time heals. And anybody who's going through a breakup or wants to break up or everything gets better. I think that is, I always say death is different. Like you can't say time heals because that's more just getting used to it. But I think with relationships, like especially if anybody broke up like yesterday, it gets a lot better. Like time does heal that. And then you're sad and then you're angry and there's a lot of grieving emotions, but I think you'll be fine.
Right. Right. On that note, we are going to have to call Miss Polly. Actually, to be honest, what I had to do because Miss Polly is working and we want everyone to work right now that can. I called Miss Polly yesterday and asked her these questions yesterday, and we're going to play them, and then you guys can interject to it.
Please don't be weird. Please.
When is it not?
I know. What do you mean?
I know. It's just, Spider, you're not with your mom and older sister.
It's time to party with Miss Polly. The modern day Dr.
We're so sorry that you're not going to be live on the show. However, this little recording is going to be great because we're going to just put it in the video and everyone gets to see and hear you because it's everyone's favorite part.
My favorite part of the show, too.
Party with Miss Polly. So the question that we have for this particular one is, if you're dating a doctor and he insists on giving you a pelvic exam to check for STDs before sex, would you be offended?
And what kind of doctor is he normally? That's my question. Is he an MD or a DM or DDS? What kind of doctor is he? Is he a gynecologist or?
In any way, I find it
just
so
spit
odd.
out his water.
It is a little strange. It took me aback. I'm like, gee, do I get to see your report card too? That would be my question.
That's I would be like, you do not get to see that in a doctor way. Are you kidding? That's so weird.
I don't know if I would. I would probably be a little offended just because, like, we haven't. I don't know. Where are we at in our relationship? I mean, is this just like first off the bat? Here we're gonna go, but
before you have sex. So
well, I mean, some people have sex on their first date. I don't know.
From what I've learned on this show, a lot of people do that.
It happens. I don't think I would be offended, but I would kind of question. It just depends on what kind of doctor he is. I mean, like, I can understand wanting to know that information because I would definitely want to know if, kind of like, can I see your health card?
Right.
Because I don't know where he's been. And he doesn't know where I've been.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Miss Polly.
So is the question, if I'm dating a lady doctor, nice. She asked me if she wants to check me out if I have an STD.
Yeah. Would you be offended?
I would have zero offense. As someone that has only been really with one girl and is Italian, that has a large shoe size, it could only help.
Oh my God!
There you go. Turn it back on and make them uncomfortable.
That's right. So
Marcella.
I would have. It could only help me, so I have no problems.
I wouldn't be offended. I don't know. Sure. I mean, you're going to see it anyway.
I'm going to start using that as a pickup line.
Are you going to tell him you're a doctor?
Yeah. Hey, I'm a doctor. Let me check you out before we go at it.
That's funny.
I mean, I guess it's, I mean, I guess they would have to be like a gynecologist or something to even ask that. So I wouldn't really care.
I think it's weird.
Just ask for your papers.
Yeah.
You got checked? Let's see. I don't need you to check me yourself. That's weird.
I'd want to know the other too, though. I wouldn't be like, okay, this is like two-way street, I guess. But I don't think I'd be offended. I mean, I'd probably be like maybe later, but I wouldn't be offended.
Okay. So now we go to question of the day, which will be a little different too, because we'll hear Miss Polly's first, and then we'll all give our 5 cents.
Perfect.
The two posh girls ask the question of the day.
The question of the day is it possible to go back to being friends with an ex hookup who broke your heart if both are now casually hooking up with others?
No.
No.
No. I'm of the opinion that once I'm done, I'm done. And even just in a because I guess I'm just done. I feel like it's too much because especially you've had that intimacy, and then especially if you know that they're hooking up with someone else, it's just going to possibly bring in some jealousy issues in my head. So I'm like, yeah, no, just don't
even bother.
Just walk away.
Walk away. Okay, well, thank you.
Oh, I'm friends with everyone. I'd love to be friends after. If I could have it that way all the time, if after a breakup or anything, we just went to being immediately friends, I love that. I don't want anybody to leave my life.
I don't want to be friends with Whitley.
It's fair.
That is fair. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be friends either. Really.
I do. Spider.
Oh, I don't necessarily want to, but I will be. Like some people I want to, and I try hard to keep them as friends.
Well, I guess it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Like if it just didn't work and like maybe they broke your heart, but you kind of both knew like this is not working and they're not a bad person. I don't mind being friends. I mean, you probably don't hang out and talk every day, but I definitely would be friends.
Okay. On that note, thank you for
Thank
listening,
you.
everyone. And please don't forget, subscribe and leave us a review and
Yay.
like our stuff. Thank you so much.